to go up there?
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I thought I just sit here.
I know. I don't think.
I have the gavel
I'm
too.
kind of surprised that there isn't a peanut gallery here for the bylaws.
Okay.
You guys need to go up here and take the gavel.
She's not gonna use that piece of wood, she's gonna use our heads.
She's got a hammer.
Good morning. Okay, I now call the organizational meeting of the Berry County Board of Commissioners to order. For purposes of attendance, I will now call the roll. Bassett?
Here?
Carlton? Absent. Campbell?
Here.
Getty? Here. Hatfield?
Here.
Jackson?
Here.
Smelker?
Here?
And Tunison. Okay, will all the commissioners, staff, and guests please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, you may be seated. The clerk would entertain a motion for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Smelker, seconded by Hatfield, to approve the agenda as written. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion carried. The agenda is approved. The first item is the election of the chairperson. Michigan law allows for the election of the chairperson by secret ballot. Does any commissioner wish to move that this vote be by ballot, secret ballot? Okay, hearing none, we will now entertain a motion for nominations for board chairperson. The floor is open for nominations. Yes.
I nominate Dave Jackson.
Support.
Okay, any other nominations? All right.
Move that nominations be closed.
Thank you, you got me.
Support.
Thank you. Okay, so Commissioner Smelker, supported by Commissioner Tunison, has nominated Dave Jackson for chairperson. And hearing no other nominations, the nominations are now closed. I announce Dave Jackson, the chairperson for the board for 2025. Congratulations.
Thank you. We should probably have a vote on that.
Sure.
All those in favor say,
Well,
or don't we do
well,
it?
no, we're going to do the resolution and then we,
Okay.
yes. Yep. The clerk would entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-01, resolution for the election of David Jackson as board chairperson for 2025.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Getty and seconded by Hatfield for adoption of Resolution 2025-01, resolution for the election of Commissioner Jackson as board chairperson for 2025. I will now call the roll. Bassett?
Aye.
Carlton is absent. Campbell?
Aye.
Getty?
Aye.
Hatfield?
Aye.
Jackson?
Aye.
Smelker?
Aye.
And Tunison.
Aye.
There being a majority of commissioners in support, I declare the resolution adopted and Jackson is duly elected chair of the Board of Commissioners. And now I relinquish the meeting to you, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, I need my gavel back. It really bothers me that,
You promised to use it.
I don't use it. Yet. So, thank you for your support. I appreciate that, my fellow commissioners. Next on our agenda is election of vice chairperson. We will now open the floor for nomination for vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Dave Hatfield as vice chair.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and supported. Any other nominations?
Move the nominations be closed.
Support. Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. We have the vice chairperson for David Hatfield as our nominee, so the chair will entertain a motion to move for the adoption of Resolution 25-02, a resolution for the election of board vice chairperson David Hatfield for 2025.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Tunison, support by Smelker for the adoption of Resolution 25-02, a resolution for the election of board vice chairperson David Hatfield for 2025. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Bassett? Aye. Carlton is absent. Campbell?
Aye.
Getty,
Aye.
Hatfield,
Aye.
Smelker,
Aye.
Tunison,
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye. The resolution is approved. Congratulations, Vice Chair Hatfield.
Thank you. Hard-fought campaign.
Now we can take all those signs down and do everything. Whew. Glad to get through that election season. So limited public comment at this time. Any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, going once, going twice. Thank you. Adoption of board rules. We've been talking about our board rules, and for those of us who have been on the board, like Commissioner Smelker and I, we've gone over these multiple times in past years, over and over again. But there's always an opportunity to tweak them as needed. So if you would, I'll open the floor. If there's any discussion for board rules, any interest in changing board rules, any thoughts or ideas on our board rules, now is your time. Commissioner Campbell.
I'd like to address the Personnel and Human Services Standing Committee.
Okay, go ahead.
As you know, it's always been my favorite. Looking at that rule, it appears to me to be way too broad. It allows the other 4 commissioners to be not involved in many issues that I feel they should be involved with. I'm good with issues like grievances, issues like contracts. But when we have this other continuous issues in here, and we have words which I hate to see, which says including but not limited to, which opens the door for everything. I think when this committee meets, I think it should be with the approval of the board and at the request of the board. I don't believe that one person out of 8 should exclude 4 people at their will. Have right now. We even had a week when we had no meeting for the cow. And we had enough agenda to have a cow meeting. To me, the cow is put in place of a Personnel and Human Services Committee. That's why we have a cow. He leaves it up to a small, fragmented group of commissioners. Of course, we hear that, well, you still get to vote on it. Yes, but voting on it, when you recommend it, is not the same as going to attending, seeing people in front of you, talking to them. It's not the same. You're being asked to approve what those other board justice to my townships. But the quandary when I was asked to be a part of the board, so what do? Said I'll do whatever my chairman asked me to do. I feel like I'm kind of going back on what I said I don't like, but I did accept it because you asked me to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's right. I think when you take it out of the hands of the 8 commissioners that were elected to decide on these things, put it into something else for what we call the sake of time. To give up our time. Those 4 commissioners are doing their time. The other 4 want to do theirs. Subjects. That's where I'm at. I think definitely don't want words in there that say including but not limited to.
Other thoughts from commissioners?
Well, on Bruce's point, how can we revise it and still have it be there to cut out some of the redundancy of if you had 6 people vying for one position, not that we do, But Bruce's point, I see his point too. Okay, so, but I still think there's a use for it. I just don't know if it needs to be to the degree that it is right now. That's all. So, how can we tweak it a little bit? Is basically what it boils down to.
Well, there's a few things to consider here. We can certainly redefine the scope of what the Personnel and Human Services Committee should do. Because you do have contracts coming up this year, and it was effective going through things with Michael's departure. We've had a ton of departures in the county. So there are things we can do. I'll also tell you that we have, if I can find it in my notes here, I don't have a copy of this, but this is from Pam. We have 3 hours, at 10 minutes apiece, we have 3 hours worth of interviews scheduled right now for the second cow. So that was one of the things that the Human Services, or Personnel and Human Services Committee had taken on, was doing interviews. And I think Catherine and Mike being on that committee, it's a different feel when you're in a smaller group and people are a little more open to talk about their past, their background, some things like this. Sometimes when the room is packed, it's hard to get a read on some people. I'm kind of agnostic on it. If we want to limit the scope of the Personnel Committee, that's fine with me. The other conversation that we've had in the past is if you look at what other boards do across the state, especially for counties our size, they have 2 BOCs a month, and everything else is done through committees, and then it comes to the BOC to approve it. So we're in kind of a hybrid system right now with this one committee. So we can keep it and tweak it and define what it is. We could also take a look in working with Eric, with our new administrator in Luella, on what it would look like if we had a committee structure. The size of our county kind of dictates the cow has worked well. By the same token, it's also very redundant to keep referring things from the cow to the BOC and voting on things that we already approved the previous week. And people have said time and time again, you're just wasting time. Why do you have a BOC when you've already done it through the cow and you're recommending to yourself for approval? So is there room to have a more efficient board structure? Probably. We've never really delved into it to the depth of, do we want to go with finance, personnel and human services, and then building grounds, maintenance, and change the whole system? I don't know. So we're also operating very efficiently as we are right now with the cow structure. And the benefit of the cow is it gives the public and our constituents a chance to see things twice. And if there's an issue, we've seen several times where we debate something in the cow, and the next week we have a lot of, for lack of a better term, input from our constituents. I was going to say flack, but that doesn't sound right. But input from our constituents on what to do. So, open for suggestions.
I guess the only thing that I'm familiar with is the cow system, and I'm used to it. And I like the idea of the public having a week to look at. And yes, I know it looks redundant to vote on the same thing in the cow and then vote on it. But when we vote on it at the cow, we're just moving it forward to the Board of Commissioners. And there's still comment section, and there's still time to look into things. And I guess that'd be the way I'd like to keep it. But I'm also agree with Bruce. I'm pretty much going to do what the chair says. Seems we just voted unanimously for you.
Commissioner Getty.
I like the fact that we all hear the topics firsthand for the most part in the cow. With the personnel committee, I know that I've heard from people that are interviewing for a position that they're intimidated to come up into this structure and have an audience, especially some of the appointments are personal in nature. And we've all heard those interviews in the past. And I think we could probably predict what boards those instances might come up. So I like Commissioner Campbell's suggestion that maybe we keep the Personnel Committee, but we refer to that. And then we all have to vote on that. The majority would have to refer something to the Personnel Committee. I think about the Mental Health Board appointees. And, those people come up with personal testimony. And I think out of respect to those appointments, that might be a more appropriate, smaller group setting, and that we might get better candidates for that position. But we would all have to agree by majority that was an instance to send that topic to the Personnel Committee. So.
Yes. There wasn't it was just last year we put it in
I
place.
was under the helping the quest to and that's what we're dealing with. I agree, it's uncomfortable to come up. Why we don't do that is because I have a right to ask questions to that person. I have a right to see that person. Do that. My townships give me that right to do that. This, you take away my right to do that. Simple. Now, something like contracts, it's ongoing, I'm fine with it being in that paragraph. Fine with that being a normal thing. Doesn't have to be approved by the board. Fine with the grievance procedure. Very personal thing. Other stuff, we're gonna feel bad for somebody that has to come up here and apply for a job that we wanna see what kind of person this is. I wanna have a part of that. Have a part of it with 3 other people. Part of it with 7 other people that we elected to be a part of that stuff.
Okay. My suggestion would be this. I don't know that we can tweak this today, but why don't we get together as the Personnel and Human Services Committee, figure out what we want this to look like for the upcoming year, and then we'll make a recommendation to the board. So we'll rewrite this so it represents what we all feel it should do. Is that acceptable?
Why is that being restricted?
You have
Starting point.
Yeah, you have some obviously ideas on it, and you've made some suggestions on how you'd like this language to be. So I don't think you have that language and how you'd like it to be today, do you? Have you rewritten this? Okay.
I didn't know if you'd throw me out.
I can't do that. You're duly elected.
I have not.
So I'd just like to put a paragraph together, and I don't care if you and I do it or the Personnel Committee does it, but then something that we can present to the entire board, so, as a recommendation. So they can look at it, review it, we can tweak it, whatever the case is. Like I said, there's a lot in here, but worst case scenario, you and I and Eric should sit down, or Luella, and write it so it makes sense. Because when we've tried to do this in the past with previous chairs, we've tried to wordsmith out, take breaks, come back in, and it was just clunky. So I'd rather do it so we have something that is done right.
I like the idea of not tying the personnel committee's hands up. Those situations come up and there's a need. Felt left out.
Sure.
Yes,
When you come up with a rewrite, it'll come before Cal where we can all talk about it, right?
it'll come up before Cal, yep. It'll be in a Cal, so everybody will have input on it, and like I said, it'll just, any commissioner has the ability to bring an agenda item before the board. Bruce will put this one together with our help, whatever the case is, whether it's myself or David or Eric, whatever the case is, and we'll discuss it and decide how to move forward. But I'd just like to do it so it's done right versus us trying to throw ideas together out today and then change it later and then change it again. So,
Makes sense.
is that okay?
Yeah, I like,
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Other questions or concerns with our board rules?
Just for discussion, I would like to have some discussion of how we structure public comment. We are extraordinarily liberal in having 2 public comment sessions plus allowing public comment during debate on individual items, well more than what most organizations that I'm familiar with do. I could go so far as to be in favor of limiting public comment to 1 point on the agenda rather than on 2, or in at least limiting, if we're going to continue to have 2, limiting the first public comment to strictly commenting on items that are on the agenda, and then having the second one be open. And I am not in favor of continuing to allow public comment on discussion of individual agenda items. That is virtually unheard of.
Okay. Commissioner Tennyson, you're nodding your head.
I agree with that. On the public, when we're having discussion, I don't know as though I appreciate that. We're putting their input in from the public. If they want to put their input in, get in one of these positions, I guess.
Okay. Commissioner Smelker? Well,
I know that the public input has got my blood pressure up before, but I guess I wouldn't throw too big of uproar if we limited the first one to the agenda. But I would not be in favor of going to 1.
okay. Commissioner Getty?
I don't think I'd be in favor of limiting 1 or the other comment periods for items just on the agenda. I know that sometimes people come in because they want to, they have a few minutes at the beginning of their day and they don't stay for the whole meeting, and they may have something worthwhile to share with us. I would agree that I don't think that it's appropriate during our deliberation to have public comment. I think we're extremely accommodating to have 2 public comment periods, and they have an opportunity to share that information at that point.
Welcome, Commissioner Bassett. Would you like to lean in on this?
Yeah, so I don't have much experience with this. That's what I'm used to. It is time when we come to 1, but it's just from it is always.
Commissioner Campbell.
Totally agreement with previous commissioners. Welcome, Commissioner Bassett, by the way. Yeah, I like that idea. I hope we can ease into it somehow and not start a landslide of anger, where maybe we give them a couple meeting warnings that this is going to be coming about, as opposed to just showing up that way. It may cause a little less anger for the ones that like to get up there and tell us about when they did their laundry and all that stuff.
And I think to address Commissioner Getty's concern that it'll have to be, if we want to limit the first public comment to items that are on the agenda, it'll have to be an announcement from the chair virtually at every meeting, because we do get new people in here. People don't know our protocol and when we do it. But I think I can put flexibility in there. If you're here and you need to leave the meeting, then we'll allow for public comment. That I don't want to gavel somebody down because they're talking about animal control, but they have to be to work. You know, so I think there's room for flexibility, but I don't mind trying it. We've talked about doing it in the past, and it is something that does put a little more of a challenge on the chair to manage it. We just have to be flexible with the fact that, are we going to really gavel people down because they're talking on something not on the agenda? And I don't see that happening. We'll just have to continue to train people this year that this is how we're going to roll with it. So,
Mr.
yes.
Yeah, I would think that you're going to get one or two up there. It's still going to go off in a different route, but I think it's going to make most of the public comment follow what you say about it and stuff. I think they will follow it, but you're right, there's going to be one or two that aren't. But,
Yep. And, yes.
Is the point.
I like that idea as well.
Mr. Chairman, I have that being done at one of my townships now. It seems to work well.
Okay. Do they have two public comments?
They have two, and the first one is for just agenda items related.
Okay. Okay. There was also the item of citizen participation. If you look at your board rules on page 7, item D, citizen participation. Currently, any citizen may comment upon an agenda item prior to the taking of a vote thereon. Speakers other than commissioners, after being recognized by the chair, shall identify themselves by name and municipality of residence and shall ordinarily limit their presentation to 3 minutes unless time otherwise extended by the chairperson or vote by the board. So we currently have that in our rule, but if you go to the following page, item I, which says comments from the floor, says only members of the Berry County Board of Commissioners shall be given the floor to speak during any board meeting except anyone who desires to speak under item B, which is public comment, limited public comment. 2, county officials or personnel may speak with the consent of the chairperson. Or 3, any person with the consent of the chairperson and or a majority of the board. So with that, with item I stating that we could get input from a constituent or person in the audience with the consent of the chairperson or a vote by the board. I guess question 1 is, do we need item D at all in there? Do we need a separate item for citizen participation, seeing as how in item I, you're basically saying that any person with the consent of the chairperson can have input. The other thing, if I can find it.
I would only say to that I think item I covers it. And I think that it allows the chair or the board the ability to limit who's going to participate. Whereas on the prior page, it's wide open. So I would favor eliminating D on page 7, but leaving I on page 8.
Okay. And on item D, my concern with that was it was just an open invitation. So if we're getting into something, you could literally have a limited public comment session again under an item that we're debating, ongoing, and if there's, I mean, we've seen where there's been 30 to 50 people in the commissioners' chambers before who want to comment. So not knowing what the board perception would be, I rewrote item D to say this, because my concern was that if we're having a debate or a discussion and we miss something, or someone in the audience has a question that's relevant to the discussion that maybe we missed after the debate, after the commissioners have spoken, and somebody has a question about, well, what if we did this, or why didn't you think about this, or whatever the case was. So I rewrote item D just to say this. Any citizen may ask a question about an agenda item being considered by the board prior to taking of a vote thereon. Citizens with a question, after being recognized by the chair, shall identify themselves by name, municipality, residence, and shall only be permitted to ask a question as it pertains to the discussion of the item being considered. This is not an opportunity for additional public comment. So it's possible, if somebody has a relevant question, that allows it. But again, on the other page, you also have the same, under item I, you have the same thing. So it's a little redundant.
It's redundant, and I think when you put it in, nice wordsmithing, by the way.
Thank you.
But all you've done there is design the game of Jeopardy, where everything has to be presented in the form of a question. And I think we all know that any comment can be turned into a question, and therefore I don't think that necessarily limits those who, doesn't accomplish what we're trying to do. The other thing I would point out is that, particularly for so long as we continue to operate with a cow structure, items get addressed at 2 different meetings. So they've always got the comment period at the second meeting relative to agenda items to raise those questions.
Okay. Additional input, questions, discussion?
Well, I'm in agreement with eliminating item D.
Okay. Mr. Smoker?
As long as we keep item I on the next page.
Right, yeah.
I see that they're redundant. As long as you recognize them,
Okay.
and it's relevant, you're going to let them speak.
Commissioner Getty?
Agree.
Commissioner Bassett?
I think it's fine.
During public comment, they would be required to, but we can certainly put that, we can add that to it as well. Commissioner Campbell, Commissioner Tennyson, additional input?
Yeah, I think we have to have something in there that allows for, if you call it out of turn speaking or whatever, but your discretion. I think if we cut it out altogether, I think we would suffer considerable backlash on something that isn't that big of an issue at this point.
It's not something that's come up a lot, but it has come up some. All right, so what I'm hearing is that we want to change our limited public comment to be, the first public comment is for items listed on the agenda. And we'll have that statement on our agenda. And then the second public comment session can be for anything you want to talk about. We're going to eliminate citizen participation, item D, because it's redundant under item I, which states any person with the consent of the chairperson and/or a majority of the board may speak. So I think as long as you're comfortable,
Limited to 3 minutes.
yeah, limited to 3 minutes.
That is actually, that is also in, I didn't realize it, but it's under limited public comment.
Yep. Okay. All right. With those modifications, the only other thing I saw in here, and it was just under the first page, under special meetings, it talked about communication. It said, one of the ways you can communicate with the commissioners via a confirmed facsimile transmission to the commissioner's residence. Do any of you have faxes at your residence? Do you? When's the last time you got a fax?
Couple years.
Okay. I was going to
Under my computer, yeah.
That's what I was going to say, you might receive it, but that seemed to be a little outdated, but I don't care if it stays in there or if we remove it, but I think we have better ways of communicating with each other, so. Okay, let's move on. Let me get back to my agenda. With those changes, Luella, are you comfortable with those changes? Do we have notes on those, how to make those adjustments, or?
Yes, I just want to, on item I, where you can acknowledge, somebody, are we adding there that there's a 3-minute limit, or?
It is covered under public comment, and I can, since we have to either vote by board to allow someone to speak or just by recognition of the chairperson, that'll be mentioned at that time as well, so I'm fine if we leave it as is.
Okay.
Okay. The chair would entertain a motion for the adoption of Resolution 25-03, a resolution adopting rules of the Berry County Board of Commissioners.
So moved. Hatfield.
Support. Motion by Hatfield, support by Tunison for the adoption of Resolution 25-03, a resolution adopting rules of the Berry County Board of Commissioners. Additional discussion?
Should we have something in there that says with the exception of the Personnel and Human Services Committee?
We have the ability to change the board rules anytime throughout the year, so.
I won't vote in favor of it then, till that's been addressed.
Okay. And we can do that as early as you'd like and put it on the next cow for next week, or we can put it on the second cow, whatever you want to do. It's
I
something.
don't feel comfortable approving what's there right now if we have an item that's open for discussion and hasn't been settled.
Okay. Understood. Any additional discussion? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Bassett? Campbell, or Carlton's absent. Campbell?
Nay.
Getty?
Aye.
Hatfield?
Aye.
Smoker?
Aye.
Tunison?
Aye.
And Jackson.
Aye. Board rules are adopted and soon to be amended. So, appointment by committees. In your packet, you should have the list of committee assignments. By and large, they have stayed the same with the addition of Commissioner Bassett coming in and currently taking over those that were by Commissioner Doster. So, and you're comfortable with those, Commissioner Bassett?
I am.
Okay. And if there's an opportunity where you see something that you'd like to do, or you see a fit somewhere else, you can certainly talk to your fellow commissioners about changes in positions or committees that you may be on. We can make those adjustments on the fly as needed, so. Any further input, discussion?
I guess I got one question. On the Local Emergency Management Committee, I see you're on it, Dave, and C. What is, am I missing something there?
What's that?
On emergency management.
Yeah, it's at both the chair and the vice chair are invited to attend that meeting. So we both have attended at times. So local emergency planning, and they meet on a quarterly basis. And it's actually been less than that lately, so.
So it's just you and Dave and Dave, right?
Dave and Dave, yep.
Okay.
The chair will entertain a motion for adoption of the chairperson's appointment of members of committees for the Board of Commissioners.
So moved.
Motion by Getty, support by Smelker, to confirm the chairperson's appointment of members of the committees of the Boards of Commissioners. Additional discussion? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Bassett? Colton's absent. Campbell?
Aye.
Getty?
Aye.
Hatfield?
Aye.
Smelker?
Aye.
Tunison?
Aye.
And Jackson.
Aye. The committee appointments are approved. Adoption of the 2025 meeting schedule. I think for the most part, the schedule is pretty much the same. There were two things that Llewellyn and I had discussed on Tuesday, April 8th, is the MAC conference, which goes typically Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We have an option that we can move that board meeting to Monday. Most of the time I attend. Tuesday's the long day for that, so typically I attend all day Tuesday, not Monday afternoon when it starts. So we could move our board meeting to April 7th on a Monday. We can also take a look at the calendar as it approaches, and if it's a light agenda, we can cancel the meeting altogether. So we have this, oops, go ahead.
Can you tell me, I don't have my calendar for 25 yet. Is that the first Monday or the second Monday?
April 8th would be
Second.
April
second?
7th.
Yeah, that would be the second. So,
Doc Colton and I have transit at 8:30.
on Mondays?
Yeah. But,
April 7th is the first Monday.
is it?
Yeah,
We're fine.
April 7th is the first
Oh,
Monday.
I'm
so-
sorry, I thought you said the 8th.
Yeah, our meeting is scheduled for the 8th, so we're going to tentatively move our cow to April 7th, on Monday, April 7th.
No, that's the BOC.
You're right, that would be the BOC, so. That would be the BOC there. And then the next one, if you look down on your calendar, November 11th, 2025, offices are closed for Veterans Day. So the recommendation is to reschedule that meeting also for Monday, November 10th. See any conflicts with that? And again, we have the ability to adjust on the fly if it's a light agenda, or we can change as needed, so. Okay, if there's no discussion, the chair would entertain a motion for adoption of the 2025 meeting schedule for the Committee of the Whole and Board of Commissioners. So moved.
Support.
Motion by Tunison, support by Hatfield for adoption of the 2025 meeting schedule for the Committee of the Whole and Board of Commissioners. Additional discussion? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Bassett? Colton's absent. Campbell?
Aye.
Getty?
Aye.
Hatfield?
Aye.
Smelker?
Aye.
Tunison?
Aye.
And Jackson.
Aye. The motion is approved. Limited public comment at this time. Any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes.
Mark's coming.
Mark Monsignor, Berry Township. I would just like to go back to the scheduling and the interviews for the mental health board and emphasize the fact that there are situations that we've already seen come up where an individual is asked to reveal pretty personal information. And as Commissioner Doster pointed out, that could very well be an inhibition for people wanting to come forward who would have something to offer for the board. So I'd like to see if there can't be some kind of hybrid accommodation so that interviews for that particular committee can be conducted in a more private and personal atmosphere. That's all I can say. Thanks.
Thanks, Mark. Additional public comment? Okay. Hearing none. We don't have a slot on here for commissioner comments, but are there any commissioner comments that you would like to add before we adjourn? Commissioner Tunison?
Just looking forward to this year, and Marcia, welcome. I can already tell you're going to be a great asset to the board, so. And looking forward when Commissioner Campbell is the chair of the Health Department Board. This year.
Mr. Chairman, can we strike that last comment?
Commissioner Campbell?
Just to say it continues to be an honor to work with so many fine people in our county. I think we have an excellent leadership in Chairman Jackson and Dave. And welcome to Marcia. Glad you're here. I know you're going to be a good addition to our board.
Vice Chair Hatfield?
I have nothing.
Commissioner Smoker?
It's been a pleasure working with y'all. Pretty sure you guys might not think the same. Welcome aboard, Marcia.
Commissioner Getty?
I do enjoy working with you, Commissioner. And welcome, Marcia.
Commissioner Bassett?
Yeah, I'm just very excited that this day has come.
And the first board that doesn't have to think about getting reelected in 2 years. So 4 years to do the work, and we've got a lot of things ahead of us. One thing I had on my list in talking with Eric, if you want to put this in your calendar, let me get back to June. We have scheduled a tour of the Branch County Jail in Coldwater for Tuesday, January 14th at 1:30 p.m. Jim Escamilla was one of the, I don't remember the name of his company, but he was involved
Bison Associates, it's architects and engineers.
with building that jail. So he is going to be in attendance. So if you have detailed questions on the jail, the structure, cost, pricing, stuff like that, he will be there as well. I haven't gone as far as talking to Eric about transportation yet, as far as if there's a bus or a van, or if we're going to do some individual rides down there. I know the county has vehicles we can use as well.
If we get there enough advance, I think we can get a transit bus and driver to take us.
Okay. Branch County in Coldwater. So,
And the date again that you're going?
the 14th,
Of
January.
January.
Yeah,
What time?
1:30 is when the tour is scheduled, so we'll have to leave here, it's probably 45 minutes down there, so probably leave here around, 12:30. Something like that'll get us close, but we will have additional discussion on that as well, but I wanted you to put that in your calendar. If you haven't had a chance to tour the jail, or if you're interested in touring the jail is certainly going to be one of those things on our radar this year that I'd like to step on right away, see if we can move that forward.
Are we going to invite anybody else other than commissioners?
At this point, no. Were you thinking of somebody?
I think someone from the jail should go with authority.
Well, also, if we're taking one bus, do we need to worry about having more than 4 of us together, unchaperoned?
We may have to post that as far as a meeting, but it's not a meeting where we're discussing anything. So this is strictly a tour. It will not be.
I'm not.
But I agree with you.
I'm not concerned with what we're actually going to do. I'm only concerned with the perception of what we might be doing.
Yeah.
True. Okay. We will talk to Eric about that in the well and be sure we're on the right
Okay.
pace with that as well. And I like the idea, whether it's the sheriff or whether it's not Paul, but is it Paul?
Kevin, the undersheriff?
Not the undersheriff.
Pete?
Pete, there we go.
Corrections Command.
So if he hasn't been there, I'm sure he probably has, but if he hasn't, that'd be good to see it, so.
Pete has sat in on the Granger one that we had at MSU.
Okay.
I like the idea of having them both there. I think if we're going to have success in moving forward, everybody needs to be on the same page.
Yes, absolutely. So,
Mr. Chair,
yes.
I don't know. Yes,
Awesome.
I like the black.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, happy 2025. It's been a pleasure to work with you.
Did everybody get the email on the SMART meeting? Canceled.
That was canceled.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they want Marcia's email. I will see if I can't send that to you, the one we got.
Oh, okay.
And then that-
I'm gonna get my email. So that will help.
Got canceled.
Okay.
Will you give us a definition of what the SMART meeting is for all of us dummies?
Where the commissioners in our region, Region 5, I believe, and they get together every 3 months, quarterly, and show off something in your county. When we had them before COVID, we had it at Charlton Park, and when we had it in Kalamazoo County they had it at their new health department. So you show something off in your county, and all the county commissioners from our area, region, are asked to come and discuss. And usually, Mac is there and gives an update on legislative stuff, or once a quarter. And a lot of times it's Dana or new girl now helps Dana, and I forgot her name. But there's an update on legislation, and really it's very good because you get to learn on what other counties are doing from their commissioners.
So it's quarterly? Is it a different county every month or every quarter?
Yeah, and you volunteer to take it.
Be a great opportunity for us to talk about the trail project in Nashville and what we did with our ARPA.
Just so we don't have to walk it on that day.
We won't. I'm going to get a special vehicle for Commissioner Smelker to enjoy the trails. But, no, I think, that's a great opportunity for Berry County to share what we've been doing, because we've accomplished a lot in the last several years. Well, I think, right, so we can give a Parks and Trail, update. But we've accomplished some other, things as well. A good chance to introduce Eric and.
And usually they put on a little luncheon when you host it.
Okay.
The county does.
Okay. Luella, anything you want to add? Okay. Thank you all for remembering we have a meeting on Thursday. Luella, can I just ask, is this by statute that we have to have a meeting the first business day of the new year?
Board rules, of course.
Mhm.
And a structure. Day.
Especially if you would have a disaster before there's a chairperson.
I'm
There's no
not
one to sign
sure
the
if
checks.
If it's statute, but, like
Okay.
board rules that it's the first.
Okay.
And to Commissioner Smalker's point, the week into the year, have something happen that you don't have in the time of chair.
Okay.
In the corporate rules, your bylaws always read that your office is elected until their successor is elected and qualified. Terms continue till whenever that happens. I don't know whether that's even possible for us to do, body, but it resolves the question of what happens if there's an emergency yesterday.
Right? On the first day, like there was in New Orleans or
Yes,
something like that.
exactly,
So, you know,
yeah. So we might want to look at that.
okay. Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you all for coming.